Hi guys, it's Chris from Nutribox. Today on this video I'm going to be making a vegetable moussaka. For this recipe I'm going to be using onions, tomatoes, aubergine, peppers, mushrooms and potatoes. Then we're going to make a white sauce as well, which is made from butter, flour and milk with a touch of seasoning. The aubergine and the potatoes we're going to slice really thin because the moussaka traditionally should be made with lamb, but we're doing the vegetarian version today. So what you would have is your vegetables in a tomato sauce, topped off with some potatoes and sliced aubergine, and then another layer of the mixture, and again topped off with the aubergine and potatoes, and then we put the white sauce over the top, a few breadcrumbs, and bake it through the oven. So let's get started. First things first, I'm just going to take the butter and start to melt that in the pan before I chop up the vegetables. So we'll get the white sauce on the go. Onions. So you could have sliced onions or diced onions, whichever you fancy, whichever you find the easiest. Keep a nice clean work surface if you can. So I'm going to do diced onions for mine. Nice easy method if you're doing this with the kids as a claw. Any size you want, you can dice some small, large, whatever you find easiest. So move your onions to one side. Tomatoes. Again, these are just going to really mush down when they get cooking, which is going to give us the tomato base to the sauce. Always keep an eye on your sauce, your butter melting, what we've started off now. We don't want to burn the butter. You'll have to just excuse the noise in the background. There's music playing from the gym. I'm at Nutribox today, whereas before, during lockdown, I was filming out of my kitchen at home, and because there's a gym class going on next door, outside obviously because of the restrictions, I don't know whether you can hear me or not on this, so I'll try and shout up. So we've got the tomatoes done. I'll give the butter a little shake, just showing you where it's at. So there's the butter just melting. My other pan here is going to be for the tomatoes, onions, aubergine, peppers. And then I've got my dish here, which we're going to cook it in. Oven's already on. So let's chop up some peppers. Again, with the peppers, however you want to do it. Diced, sliced. We don't want the seeds in there, so I'll just knock them out. And I think I'll go diced with mine. So if your butter is all melted now, what you could do, you could just turn it off or just move it off the heat until we're ready to use it. Perhaps didn't chop this stuff up quite as quick as I thought I would. Okie dokie. So now it's chopped up. I'll just chop a mushroom up in a second. I need to get one out of the fridge. To the butter now, I'm going to add some flour. So if I hold the camera so it's looking into the pan, there, sprinkle the flour in, not all of it, and just stir it in so it soaks up that butter. That'll take a bit more. What we're looking for is sort of a breadcrumby kind of mix. And this is called a roux. This is one of the first things they'll teach you if you ever do catering at college. How to make a roux. It's the foundation of lots of different sauces. Bechamel sauce is a white sauce, and you see it on top of lasagnas. You can make other kinds of sauces, variations out of a bechamel. And a little trick for you if you're ever working at a top restaurant or you want to know how they made your sauce so nice. This roux mixture now, what they do in restaurants is they make a batch of this up and roll it up into pea shapes like that. Then when they make a sauce on the stove, they just throw them in and it thickens it up. So to that now we're going to add some milk. So about half the milk first, and just turn the heat up a little bit and just gently stir it in. And what you should get is that flour and butter will disappear and it'll start thickening the sauce up as the milk heats up. Traditionally you would have an onion studded with cloves, and that would be in the pan of milk next to it. So once you'd made your roux, you would start ladling in your infused milk into the roux. And then when this starts taking shape, what we're going to do is crumble the veg stock cube into it. And that's just going to give it the seasoning what we're after instead of the salt and pepper. So you can see it's starting to thicken up now. It helps that I'm using a spatula like that because I can crush them bits of flour. So if you keep stirring them, they will disappear. There's two other methods what you can use if they don't disappear and you don't want a lumpy white sauce. Number one is get a whisk and start whisking it, and number two is stick it in a blender. So that now we'll take some more milk. And what I'm going to do is just move me little stand over here now because it's quite hard to stir this and hold the camera at the same time. So if I set that there, you can have a look around the kitchen. I'm just going to carry on stirring this now and get it nice and smooth. And actually, just thinking about it, save that vegetable stock cube. We'll use that to put in with the vegetables. We'll use that instead of salt and pepper in with the veg. So that's it for my white sauce, that's done. So the end product nice silky white sauce. So I'll just turn that off. And then depending what you were making, if you were doing something like a fish pie, that's a great sauce to go in the fish pie. You might want it a little bit thinner than that, so you just add a little bit more milk to it than what we used for this one. But we turn it off now, make sure it's off so it doesn't burn. And I just need to get myself a mushroom, and then we're going to start cooking the veg mix. So I'll turn the pan on ready. Let's set this. Now I'll just keep tilting it up so you can see inside it what's happening. Let me get a mushroom. So, into the pan with the onions and the tomatoes, and let's let them start cooking away. So slice the mushrooms up. Okay, so onions and tomatoes now, just starting to get some heat in the pan. These pans I'm using are non-stick pans, so I haven't put any oil into this. You shouldn't need it if you keep it moving around the pan, but if your pans aren't non-stick or they've started to lose the non-stick, just a little shot of oil in there, you know, half a teaspoon or something will be plenty. And then into this now, the mushrooms. And the peppers. Like I say, and tomatoes will really mush down, and they're what are going to make the sauce for us, instead of putting any tomato puree in there or tomato passata. We shouldn't need it. So let's leave that sizzling away now. And in the meantime, we're going to cut up the aubergine and the potatoes. Now for these, because we're using them as a layer, we want to slice them as thin as we can, which is why I had a serrated blade on the board, because I find it easier to chop stuff thinner with a serrated blade. So potatoes first. And obviously the thinner you get them as well, the faster they'll cook through the oven. So I find it easy now just to take a thin slice off the end and then turn your potato over so it's not going to roll away. You've got a nice steady platform for it. And then really tuck your fingers in and just try and cut that potato as thin as you can. So you can leave the skin on them, peel them if you want to. Perhaps a good idea just to give everything a quick wash before you use it as well. I've already washed my mushrooms and potatoes, but mushrooms often come with a bit of mud on them. So again, now when the potato's getting thin and it wants to fall over, just take another slice off the other side of it, and again it'll stay there. nice thin slices. Just give the vegetables a stir. And then slice the other potato up. So same again, take a snip off the side. That should be enough potato there for what we need. So set them to one side, and same with the aubergine now. So just top and tail it. You'll notice my aubergine's already in half because I've used half of it today. That little bit that you get off the end, just dice it up and chuck it in with your vegetable mix. And again, we want to slice this nice and thin. That'll go into the veg mix, and then now we'll start getting some nice even slices. And then when it wants to roll itself over, that's a good indication that you've got enough slices. So I'm left with them 2 pieces, which I'll just chop up and throw in with my vegetables. Okie dokie, little tidy round. Very important to keep yourself a nice clean work surface, because then you sort of, when you're doing catering or when you're working in the kitchen, if you're working in a mess, it's very hard to see where you're going, what your objective is. If you've got a nice clean platform, everything just seems to come together a lot easier. So another stir now of the mixture that's going into the moussaka. And you can see now that the liquid has come out of the tomatoes, it's come out of the mushrooms, and it started sort of mushing down a little bit. So we don't go too far with it. We want it to still have a little bit of a bite, because it's going to carry on cooking when it goes in the oven. So at this stage now, I'm going to add my vegetable stock cube. If it is the case that your mix is very dry and you wanted a bit more sauce in it, just dilute your stock cube in probably about 45-50 millilitres of warm water. But I don't think mine needs it. So I'll just crumble this into it. I'll just give my hands a wash, because what that does now, it sticks to your hands. Because of the steam coming up, it started melting onto your hands. And stir that in, and that's going to give us the seasoning what we want in there. So that's ready now. I'll turn that off. And now what I'm going to do is start building it up. Now this portion I'm doing is around 3 portions there, I would say. But the pan I've got is a lot bigger. It's a lot bigger than what I want it for. So what I could do is perhaps use a frying pan. I'm going to use a frying pan. It's smaller. and into the frying pan. I'm going to spread some of the mixture in there. Obviously, if you don't have a Pyrex dish at home, you can utilise different things what you've got, find a way. And then onto that we want some sliced potatoes. So we're building the layers. And then some sliced aubergine. So that's layer one complete. Now some more of the vegetable mix. I'll put the rest of it in on this time. Spread that around. And then same theory again. Sliced potatoes and sliced aubergine on top. Smells nice. I imagine it'll taste nice too. Nice healthy meal. So just being careful not to burn yourself, just push it down so it compacts nice and tight. So the idea of this is that when you cut it, it comes out in layers so you can see the layers. And then to finish that off now, we put the white sauce on top, so just give that a quick stir to get it moving again. And let's scoop that white sauce in there. So that's the great thing with non-stick pans. When you look inside that pan, there's not much hard work to clean it, no scrubbing required. And then with that now, what we're going to do is just use the back of the ladle and spread it round so it covers the top of there. A bit like spreading a cake. Okay, just wipe any excess that's gone around the side of the pan, so that'll just burn to the side. And then finishing touch onto that now is the breadcrumbs. So nice little sprinkle of breadcrumbs over the top. You're going to go lovely and golden and sink into that sauce. And just add another texture to it. And then this is going to go in the oven for round about 25 minutes on 180 degrees. If you look in the oven halfway through the process and see it's all bubbling up or flying over the sides, just take the oven down a little bit, knock it down a bit. So that there is the finished article pre-cooking. So I'll put it in the oven now, and then that gives me plenty of time to tidy up, get myself set for it to come out the oven. And the thing with that is as well how quickly we've just made that. You can easily make that in the morning. Put it in the fridge, leave it in the fridge before you cook it, and then you've got something bang straight in the oven when you come home. So I'll see you again in 25 minutes with a bit of clever video editing. It won't be seamless, but it'll do the job, and we'll see what we've ended up with. So 25 minutes later, it's been in the oven, and what we've ended up with is a nice looking moussaka. The breadcrumbs have started going golden brown on top. Hopefully the potatoes will have really softened up, as will the aubergine. I think from past experience with any moussaka I've ever made, unless you're cutting it up with a knife or you've already cut your potatoes and your aubergine into really small squares, when you serve it up, they do tend to sort of slither out rather than your spoon will break through them. So I'm expecting that with this one, but there's only one way to find out. There's the finished article. Let's get a portion on the plate and see how it looks. The potatoes feel soft. I suppose you could just leave it in the pan and everybody just help themselves to it. It smells nice, which is always a good thing. There we go. Nice vegetable moussaka. Have that with a little bit of salad or some nice crusty bread with some butter on top. Lovely. Okie dokie guys, enjoy. Use the video, rewind it if you need to, if you couldn't keep up, or if you're not making it till a later date, obviously it's there to be used. Enjoy, let us know how you get on.